The first thing I did after winning the world championship in esports was dump my boss/girlfriend Willow, the woman who first discovered my talent, and turn around to sign with her biggest rival. Why? Because she had the audacity to shove her so-called childhood friend, who's like a little brother, Makoto, into our pro team, not only bumping me to the bench, but even making me take the fall for one of his scandals. What she didn't expect was that Makoto was total dead weight. Without me carrying the team, they couldn't even beat amateur players, and the whole company was on the brink of bankruptcy. Willow lashed out at me, calling me heartless and a traitor, but she didn't realize our contract had long expired. Then she watched me rise to the top with a new team, even saw me hold hands with her arch-nemesis Anna on the championship podium. She finally broke down in tears, filled with regret. Everyone in the esports scene knew me as a legendary champion, but once upon a time I was just a gaming addict, loitering in net cafes. It was Willow, my fiancée, who discovered me and gave me a shot at going pro. I paid her back with trophy after trophy, proving her eye for talent and solidifying our club, DG, as a powerhouse in the scene. People believed our wedding would one day be the ultimate love story in esports. I believed it too. That's why I didn't say a word when Willow transferred her best friend's little brother into the main roster. But from that moment on, everything changed. All the endorsements meant for me were handed over to Makoto by Willow, the club owner. She even forced me to cut my training time to personally coach him from scratch. I put up with it. Until the eve of the World Championship, when I was training like mad to win the title for our team, Willow pushed me out to take the heat for Makoto's scandal. When I questioned her, she just waved it off like it was no big deal and pulled me off the lineup. She said, "Makoto's record needs to stay clean. You're about to retire anyway. It's okay to take the fall, and we'll postpone the wedding. I need to handle getting Makoto into the tournament lineup instead of you." That was it for me. I didn't hesitate. I picked up the phone and called our rival team. The moment the hate flooded my Instagram comments, I had just wrapped up another grueling day of training. My wrists were sore, and as I picked up my phone, I froze in shock. "George can't take a loss." "George is a sore loser. George should retire." These hashtags were blowing up the trending list. I tapped into the top post and saw a picture posted by the company's official site, Makoto's account wide open on my computer desktop. Turns out, in a casual show match stream, Makoto, now the most hyped player in the scene, had rage quit mid-game after losing 3 rounds in a row. Viewers lost it. They started flaming me, calling me a coward, demanding I quit the scene. As the drama spiraled, the company put out a clarifying statement. Makoto vanished from public scrutiny, but I became the scapegoat, labeled as the deserter who couldn't handle defeat. I couldn't believe it. Something felt off, like a misunderstanding. Panicking, I rushed to Willow's office and knocked. "Willow, what the hell is going on?" But she didn't even turn around, brushing me off as she typed. "Leave, I'm negotiating a collab deal for Makoto. I'll talk to you tonight." I didn't budge. I opened my mouth to speak, but she cut me off with irritation. "Get out." I stood by the door, staring at her back for a long time, and finally left in silence. INS was flooded with hate notifications, popping up one after another until my phone completely froze. Just before it shut down, I glanced at the time. It was already 5 a.m., and Willow still hadn't shown up. I got up to find her, but just as I stepped into the hallway, I ran straight into Willow coming out of Makoto's room. I wanted to confront her, but their voices drifted into my ears first. Makoto spoke in a soft, whiny tone. "Willow, I was just being overwhelmed by the opponent and got a bit anxious. It's all my fault for being impulsive." Willow replied with a gentle smile in her voice. "It's not your fault. I won't let anything happen to you." The company decided to pin everything on George. The official statement is already out, and his account is controlled by the company now. "Don't worry." They kept talking, but I couldn't hear the rest. I leaned numbly against the wall. There was no misunderstanding. Willow's words were clear. I had been thrown under the bus, intentionally. It felt like a threaded needle pierced right through my heart, the thread pulling tight around my chest, making it hard to breathe. I knew then, as long as it involved Makoto, I didn't stand a chance. He was the little brother of Willow's best friend, basically her childhood friend. The moment he said he wanted to go pro, Willow signed him on the spot, told me to give up my training time to coach him personally, even helped him become the top of the rookie squad. He said he wanted brand deals, so Willow gave him mine. Ditched me at our anniversary to have a candlelit dinner with him instead. He wanted more publicity, so she benched me, had him lead the friendly match, even introduced him to the tournament organizers, and never came back to the base that night. And yet she was the girlfriend I'd been with for 5 years. We were supposed to get married soon. I could have let everything else go, but she knew full well how much I valued competitive esports, and still branded me as the sore loser just to keep Makoto's image clean. My hands dropped helplessly to my sides. I walked back to my room. I glanced at the expiration date on my contract. I was done with this team. I picked up my phone and called the rival organization's CEO. "You still need a player?" I said. "I'm ready to transfer to your team." The person on the other end of the line sounded surprised but said nothing else, just readily agreed. "Seriously? This isn't because of that show match drama, right?" "Don't worry, bro. I believe in you. Anyone who knows what they're doing can tell that kind of trash gameplay couldn't have been you. If you're sure about this, we'd be happy to have you join any time." I couldn't help feeling a bit moved. I thanked him and hung up the call. The very next second, a knock came at the door, and Willow walked in. Expressionless, she handed me an offer letter and said flatly, "You know that Makoto's dream is to go pro. And right now, he's the most popular player in the scene. The club can't let him take the fall for this scandal, so you're going to take the blame. I won't let you suffer for nothing, though. Once the World Championship is over, you'll take over as head coach. That way, you can also focus on wedding planning." I glanced sideways at the offer letter. After a long silence, I clenched my fists and asked, "You know full well that going pro was my dream too. You know how hard I fought to get here." "Dream," Willow cut me off impatiently, her tone laced with barely hidden sarcasm. "You're about to retire. Can a dream put food on the table? Just keep your mouth shut about this. Not a single word against Makoto, you hear me?" I closed my eyes. Suddenly, I remembered myself 5 years ago, bouncing between small gaming cafes, playing local matches, back when the professional scene felt like an impossible fantasy. I barely scraped by on tiny prize pools, and I honestly thought I'd live my whole life that way, grinding games in a smoky net cafe by day, taking whatever odd job I could find just to survive. Then Willow appeared out of nowhere after one of my matches. Her eyes were shining as she reached her hand. "You've got real talent. Would you come with me to DG? Trust me, you'll become the brightest champion on the pro stage." And she was right. Willow helped me realize my dream. Just like she promised, I became an unshakable champion. But now the dream we built together was nothing more than an inconvenience in her eyes. Snapping back to the present, I didn't argue anymore. My gaze locked on the contract as I quietly asked, "My contract? It only has 1 month left, right?" Willow followed my eyes to the document. Her brows furrowed tighter and tighter. She was just about to speak when her phone rang. After taking the call, her irritation surged. She shoved the offer letter into my hand, voice icy. "Once the contract ends, step down and take the coaching role quietly. Next month's wedding is postponed. Other than that, I need to protect Makoto's public image." She then turned and stormed out, slamming the dorm door behind her. I stood frozen for a long time. Finally, my fingers moved. I crumpled the offer letter into a ball and tossed it into the trash. Staring at the empty room, I said to no one in particular, "No need to postpone. There won't be a wedding." I was done with DG, and with Willow. I got up and headed downstairs to train. Just as I reached my station, Willow walked in with Makoto by her side. She scanned the room and handed me the suitcase she was holding. "Makoto is joining the main roster starting today. Help him carry his luggage to the dorm. Don't let him strain himself. A pro player's hands are precious. I've got other things to handle." I didn't take the suitcase. I just stared at her in silence. Seeing me remain silent, Makoto put on a pitiful expression and shamelessly wrapped his arm around Willow's. "Willow, I think George doesn't really like me. Maybe I should just carry my stuff myself. My hands are valuable, but mine aren't." I suddenly cut in, voice cold and emotionless. Willow patted Makoto's head to comfort him, but turned her frown to me. "Do you have to be so aggressive? We're getting married soon, aren't we? That makes Makoto your little brother too, so what's with the attitude?" I sneered, curling my lips, a memory surfacing, the celebration party after I won my first official match. Back then, Willow hadn't even let me lift a glass of champagne. She had gently cradled my hand in her arms, carefully rubbing my fingers, her eyes glowing as she announced, "This is DG's legendary right hand. If anyone dares to touch it, they'll have to go through me." The girl from that memory overlapped with the woman in front of me. So those same words. She could say them all over again, for Makoto. I didn't respond. I just turned and sat down, powering on my computer. Whatever. The contract ends in a month. And the wedding. That's already off the table. Willow looked at me in disbelief. George had always been obedient to her, never defied her once. Irritated, she knocked on the desk. What's with this tantrum? You're still going on? Right then, Makoto tugged at her arm excitedly, pointing at the gear setup in front of me. Willow, George's setup looks so cool. Can I have it? Willow hesitated. That gear was a gift from her, a token of our love. She'd given it to me hoping I'd carry it with me to the national stage, and I did. With that very setup, I brought home championship after championship for her. That gear meant everything to us, and she knew that. But now Makoto wanted it. Willow paused for a long moment, just about to speak, when I cut her off. I stood up, face blank, and handed over my headset. Fine, take it. I don't want it anymore. Willow paused, a strange emotion flickering across her face, but she softened her expression and spoke. At least you're being sensible. Makoto, let's go upstairs. I watched the two of them leave coldly, not moving until their figures disappeared from sight. Only then did I return to prepare for training. But just as I sat down, I heard Willow calling my name. I wanted to ignore her completely, but then I remembered I hadn't locked the door, so I sighed and went upstairs. Sure enough, Makoto had already toured every corner of my room. George, your dorm room seems way bigger than the others. Could you give it to me? I don't feel comfortable in small spaces. And I have a lot of stuff. That last empty room will have to be used for storage. George, maybe you could find somewhere else to stay. He looked innocent, but his tone made it clear he was used to getting his way, a spoiled rich kid giving orders in disguise. I looked at Willow, not expecting her to take my side. I was leaving at the end of the month anyway. It didn't matter where I slept. There was a small match tomorrow, and I didn't want to waste training time. So I agreed without hesitation. Where should I move to? Willow clearly hadn't expected me to give in so easily. She reflexively tried to explain. Makoto's been spoiled by me and his sister since he was little. If he gets uncomfortable, it might affect his performance in the match. Then, realizing I had already agreed, she paused and corrected herself. The storage room. The dorms for trainees are all full. There's still a bed in the storage room that hasn't been removed. I didn't question it, simply nodded. All right. I couldn't help but sigh inwardly. Never thought I, a starting player in the main team for 3 years, someone who had helped win countless championships for the company, would one day be treated worse than a trainee, relegated to sleeping in a storage room. From the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Makoto, who'd entered the main team without any resistance. I thought numbly, the gap between people really can be huge. The finish line I had fought so hard to reach was just the starting line for someone like him. Makoto, seeing me agree, wore a victorious expression and lifted his chin slightly. George, hurry up and pack your stuff. Don't waste time meant for training. I walked straight over to my suitcase and started packing, treating the two of them like air. A moment later, I was pushing my suitcase out. Have the cleaning staff throw the rest out. I don't need it. The next second, Willow grabbed my arm. Her eyes flickered. Pointing to the room, she asked, You forgot your keyboard and speakers? I immediately shook off her hand and replied, Didn't forget. I don't want them. Willow glanced around the room again and added, And the suit, that tux you ordered for your engagement. How could you forget that? I didn't even look back and headed straight downstairs. Only a calm, emotionless voice was left in the air. I don't want that either. If he likes anything in there, he can take it. Willow froze. A sudden wave of unease made her instinctively try to follow. But just as she moved, Makoto wrapped an arm around her. He leaned in with a pitiful, gloomy voice. Willow, George must be upset with you because of me. It's all my fault. But it's fine. You go calm him down first. I'll take my time packing. Willow hesitated, then stepped back. It's okay, Makoto. You're my brother. Of course I should take care of you first. Come, I'll help you pack. I carried my luggage to the storage room. It was relatively clean, just clearly unused for a long time, giving off a gloomy air. I stared at the simple folding bed by the wall for a long while before putting my suitcase down and heading back upstairs. Forget it. Before I joined the main team, I'd endured worse conditions than this. Only 1 month left, this was nothing. What mattered most now was tomorrow's match. I had to focus on training. I gathered the team as usual, but the four of them stood there in uncharacteristic silence. I frowned, raising my voice slightly. If you've got something to say, then say it. In esports, teamwork is everything. After a long pause, the support finally spoke, reluctant and dismissive. You're about to leave anyway. What's the point of practicing synergy now? I furrowed my brows tightly, about to speak, but Martin, the ADC, spoke first. Exactly. Might as well let Makoto lead us. He's got way more connections and backing than you ever did. I froze for a moment. Then I let out a laugh. In esports, being bad is the real sin. What matters is skill, not connections. Martin shot back immediately, sarcasm dripping from his voice. So what? If you can't win over Boss Lou, you're getting kicked out anyway. You really think you're that special? Either way, we're not following you anymore. That's when it hit me. Somewhere along the way, the teammates I had fought side by side with for 3 years had also learned to kiss up and kick down. I didn't have the energy to argue. I just sat down and silently resumed my own training. Fine. With the teamwork we'd built over 3 years, tomorrow's small match shouldn't be a problem. The next morning, we arrived at the venue separately. As I organized my gear, I noticed the teammates glancing sideways at me, but I didn't pay much attention. Just as I was about to head on stage and set up my peripherals, Lucas, our mid-laner, tugged at me. He lowered his voice and said, "George, you don't know. You're benched for this match. The starter is Makoto." I froze. Willow arrived just then with Makoto in tow. Makoto glanced at my gear bag, covered his mouth, and giggled. "George, didn't Willow tell you? You're my sub for this match." Willow's eyes moved to my face. "Yes, it's time for Makoto to gain some experience on stage. You'll sit out for now. We'll bring you in if needed." With that, she started to walk away with Makoto. But I didn't stop what I was doing. I kept packing up my gear. Willow frowned. "Didn't you hear me? Makoto is starting. I'm warning you, don't cause trouble." I didn't even look up. If I'm not needed, then I'll head back to train. Willow's face shifted instantly. She softened her tone, trying to calm me down. This was a collective decision from the higher-ups. Don't be petty. Just stay put. We'll definitely need you later. I paused, then finally sat down to wait on standby. This was about the match. I didn't want the undefeated reputation I had built over years of fighting for this company to be handed over to Makoto, just like that. As the match began, I stared at the stage for a long time. In a daze, I recalled all the tournaments over the years. I had practically won championships in every one of them. After every victory, Willow would jump on stage and hug me, then proudly face the cameras and declare to the world, "If one day DG's starter isn't George, then I'll leave with him. If DG doesn't let George play, I'll pull all my investment." That clip had once gone viral online. Willow's vow to me had made everyone envious. The referee's voice snapped me out of my thoughts. I looked over at Willow not far away. She was watching Makoto's profile on stage with laser focus. Half that promise had already been broken, but I still held out hope for the other half. But even after Makoto lost 3 games in a row, Willow didn't make a single substitution. Confused, I looked at her, only to be brushed off with a feint. "Makoto needs more experience." I instantly felt like I was being played. Without a word, I stood up to leave. But in the next second, Willow stepped in front of me, blocking my path, and the host's voice echoed across the venue. Today, aside from the match, DG would also like to take this opportunity to sincerely apologize for the previous forfeit incident. Please welcome DG's main team jungler, George, to the stage. I froze at that sentence, staring hard into Willow's eyes. I asked her coldly, "You want me on stage? To apologize?" Willow looked guilty for a moment, but still held her ground. "It's the only way Makoto can fully clear his name. He's like my own little brother. I can't let anything happen to him." I didn't respond. My expression was blank, but my fists clenched tightly on their own. The crowd, already on edge from DG losing 3 games in a row, was now completely restless. One by one, voices rose from the audience, each more agitated than the last. "George! The guy who rage quit after breaking down mid-match. He hasn't been banned by the company yet. God, Gio wasn't like this before. Now he'll do anything just for attention, huh? Wasn't he always the starter? And now it's our Makoto on stage. Guess the company's afraid he'll have another breakdown. Pathetic. Makoto's the one left to clean up his mess." The host, keeping an eye on the clock, called my name again, trying to maintain the show's rhythm. Willow urged me again. "Get up there and apologize. This live broadcast is the best chance for Makoto to clear his image." But in the next second, I picked up my bag and turned to leave. I didn't do it. I'll never admit to something I didn't do. George, can you be reasonable for once? Do you know how much effort the company put in just to suppress the trending scandal? Don't forget, everything you have today is because of me. If you don't agree, forget about playing in any future matches. My steps halted. She was right. I owed Willow a lot. Without her, I might never have had a chance to chase my dream. And the matches to come, they were all I had left. I turned back around. After a long silence, I finally nodded. Fine, I'll go. Every step I took from the stage's edge to the center felt heavy. It was like the path I'd once walked, from the slums to the professional arena, a road paved with countless sleepless nights of training. I took the microphone but kept my head down, unmoving for a long time. The crowd grew restless. Insults started flashing across the live broadcast screen. What's the act for? Don't tell me he's about to cry and beg for sympathy. He doesn't even look half as good as our Makoto. Gross. I'm starting to doubt the authenticity of that footage. God, Gio, with his skills, how could he possibly break down in a casual match? Bro, in front of you, George is all to count or what? The evidence is right there. Just ban him already. I stood there unmoving. My fingers dug into my palm so hard they nearly broke the skin. Voices from every direction surged into my ears like a flood. For a moment, I felt like I was back in that dark, hopeless slum, surviving off prize money from internet cafe matches just to scrape by. Then suddenly Willow appeared in my life. She had reached out to me with a bright smile. You really have talent. Do you want to come with me? What are you doing? Hurry up and apologize. Say something. Both the memory and the voice in my earpiece came crashing in at once. The noise from the crowd morphed into harsh static. My heart felt like it was being squeezed tight. Even breathing sent waves of pain through my chest. I finally forced the words out. I apologize to the fans and the audience. I also apologize to my teammates and the company. But Willow, you're the only one I don't owe an apology to. I'm deeply sorry for the mid-match forfeit, for the negative attention and impact it brought to the team. I promise to reflect on my actions and take the game seriously from now on. Willow, what I owed you, I've repaid in full. The event ended. I stepped off the stage and only the coach was waiting for me. He said casually, George, Willow said since we lost tonight, she's throwing a party to cheer Makoto up and help fully clear his name. She wants you to come too. I tried to decline, but the coach insisted again and again. I couldn't get out of it. As the car drove past the crowd of fans, the coach sat beside me, chuckling and making small talk. Willow, huh? Always so impulsive. She just left with Makoto right away, didn't even wait for us. Don't take it too hard, George. She's only thinking about what's best for the company. I forced a slight smile but said nothing. By the time we arrived, the party was already well underway. As soon as I walked in, Willow pulled me out to the balcony. She seemed a little drunk. Tilting her head up, she reached for a kiss, but I dodged her. Thankfully, she didn't mind. Baby, I know you're only upset and jealous because you love me. Once Worlds is over and Makoto's all settled in, we'll get married, okay? I just stared at her quietly. After a long pause, I spoke without hesitation. Let's break up. Willow froze for a second, then suddenly laughed. Ever since I brought you back to the team base, you've been stuck to me like glue. What kind of joke is this now? Don't be jealous. I'll buy you a gift tomorrow to make it up to you, okay? I didn't smile at all. I looked at her seriously and said firmly, I mean it. Willow, you're out on the balcony. Makoto's drunk and keeps asking for you. A teammate's voice called from outside. Willow raised her voice and replied, Coming! Then she wrapped her arms around me, giving my back a light pat. Don't be mad. I'll go check on Makoto first. I promise I'll make it up to you tomorrow. Oh, and there's this show I signed you up for. You and Makoto will go together in a few days. He'll look after you. With that, she hurried back to the private room. When I returned inside after some air, the celebration was mostly over. Only Makoto remained, collapsed in Willow's arms, being gently comforted. The atmosphere between them was intimate, like a bubble that shut everyone else out. They were getting closer and closer, like they might kiss at any moment. But inside, I felt nothing. Numb. I picked up my bag as if I hadn't seen anything, and walked away without a word. On the day of the show recording, it wasn't until right before departure that Willow and Makoto finally emerged from the dorm together. When she saw me standing not far away, she paused mid-stretch, then quickly returned to her usual nonchalant self and walked over. "Don't be nervous," she said. "This is just a casual chat segment. Makoto will look after you." Makoto also smiled, casually placing a hand on Willow's shoulder. "George, relax. I've already had a word with the production team." I nodded, avoiding eye contact, and walked past the two of them alone. Something about Makoto's fake kindness felt off, but I didn't overthink it. I glanced at my phone. 10 days left until Worlds. All I had to do was survive these last few days. Then I could finally walk away for good. Taking a deep breath, I got into the car headed to the filming location. The organizers had everything set up quickly. Right before we went on stage, Makoto leaned in and whispered reassuringly, "Don't worry, George. I've taken care of everything." But an uneasy feeling stirred in my gut. And sure enough, my instincts were dead on. The show started off smoothly until the host opened the floor to questions. "God, Gio, there's been a lot of discussion about your sudden forfeit mid-game. Many say it reflects poor professionalism. What's your take on that? Some fans are even questioning your competitive integrity. Some think you should be stripped of your pro status and leave the scene entirely. And even more shocking, we've heard rumors from inside your team. Allegations that you've bullied fellow teammates. Is any of that true?" For a moment, my ears buzzed. I thought I'd misheard, but the entire venue had fallen silent, so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Countless eyes were locked onto me, waiting for an answer. I turned to look at Makoto. He smiled back at me innocently, pure, harmless fake. In that moment, I understood exactly what was happening. Just as I was about to speak into the mic, Willow's voice came through my earpiece. "What kind of questions are these, George? Don't forget what I told you. Not a single word that could harm Makoto." I faltered for just a second, and Makoto seized the chance to speak first. "Who prepared these questions?" George didn't quit on purpose. "Let's just focus on preparing for Worlds. And as for the bullying, come on, George isn't like that. He's just cold and quiet. He doesn't talk to people much." The crowd erupted. What he said had just confirmed the rumors about my forfeit and alleged bullying, all under the guise of defending me. I let out a cold laugh. Makoto had once again redefined shamelessness. I could tolerate a lot for Willow's sake, but being accused of something I never did? That I wouldn't stay silent about. I picked up the microphone. My voice was quiet but icy cold. I didn't forfeit on purpose. And frankly, I still don't know how I got disconnected mid-game. And sure, I've got no connections or resources, but bullying? That's something I don't even know how to fake. Maybe someone from our own team can tell you where that story came from. It sounded like I was just answering the host, but everyone could hear the sharp edge in my words. Most of the audience was here for drama, but there were plenty of Makoto fans in the mix. A storm of insults and accusations erupted across the venue. What's that supposed to mean? Is he throwing shade at Makoto? He's the one who's been isolating the new guy, just because he joined the team earlier. Exactly. Last time he used Makoto's account in a public match just to set him up. He deserves to be blacklisted and kicked out of the scene for good. Right. He can't handle losing and even bullies others. We should all protest to the company, get him kicked off the team. But I acted as if I hadn't heard a thing. With a smirk that wasn't quite a smile, I shifted my gaze toward Makoto's face. "Oh, by the way, little Ito," I said, my voice light but sharp. "Do you know who started those rumors?" The audience collectively held their breath. Every eye turned to Makoto Ito. In my earpiece, Willow's anxious warning came through loud and fast. I raised my hand calmly and switched the earpiece off. Her voice was cut off instantly. On the other side of the stage, Makoto picked up the mic. He curled his lips slightly. A cool gleam in his eyes, like a predator watching its prey walk straight into the trap. A sick feeling hit my gut. I knew something was off, and I was right.
"George, come on now," he said smoothly.
I never said anything. It's just, rumors have been going around the team. You've been busy, so you probably didn't notice. Funny enough, someone sent me a video just yesterday. I haven't even watched it yet. Want to check it out together? The next second, the giant screen lit up. A figure appeared on screen. The back view looked exactly like mine. In the video, I coldly ignored teammates, outright dismissed trainees, even tripped Makoto on purpose, bossed around the team, and slacked off in training and scrims. And the face in the video? Undeniably mine. The footage ran for 5 full minutes. When the screen suddenly went black at the end, it was like the entire crowd collectively woke up. Outrage erupted. Demands for my blacklisting grew louder and louder, so much that security had to work hard just to maintain order. Makoto put on a pitiful expression. His voice broadcast through the sound system, echoing across the entire arena. George, I didn't mean for this to happen. I had no idea the video would be like that. But I'm really shocked. I didn't expect you to be this kind of person in private. You were right earlier. My family does have some money, but I've never used my background for anything. Still, if you treated me like this, I can't even imagine how you treated the others, guys from ordinary families. I stood there in stunned disbelief. None of the things in that video ever happened. That video had to be AI generated, but at this point, no one would believe me. Still, I instinctively defended myself. I didn't do any of that. That person in the video isn't me. But the next second, a few teammates who shouldn't have been anywhere near the stage stepped up one after another. Our support spoke first. George, this has gone too far. We're standing here today to speak the truth. ADC Martin immediately chimed in. Exactly, Captain. If it weren't for Makoto, we'd probably still be stuck getting bullied by you. Mid laner Lucas kept his head down, refusing to look at me, but he still nodded silently. I stared at the brothers I had fought beside for so long, unable to comprehend what Makoto had offered them in exchange for this betrayal. What kind of deal could make them lie so shamelessly? The venue erupted into chaos. The organizers had to cut the live stream on the spot and started rushing to shut the event down. I locked eyes on Makoto and finally couldn't take it anymore. I stormed forward and grabbed him by the collar. What the hell do you want from me? I already gave up the starting spot for you. I gave up Willow too.
Can't you just let me leave in peace?
But Makoto didn't flinch. He even raised an eyebrow and smiled. His gaze shifted past me, looking toward something behind me. In the dark, he silently mouthed a phrase, "You owe me." Before I could even register what that meant, a sudden gust of wind blew from behind. I turned my head and saw a middle-aged man charging straight at us. A flash of cold steel reflected in the light, the blade aiming directly at our entangled arms. I instinctively dodged, but Makoto grabbed my arm and shoved me forward. The blade slashed down. Pain exploded in my arm. Clutching the bleeding wound, I kicked the man away. Only then did the security team finally swarm in to subdue him. Willow appeared at that moment. Her hair was a mess, completely unlike the calm, elegant executive she always was. Her pupils shrank in horror when she saw the cut on Makoto's arm. She rushed forward, frantic. Cradling his arm with trembling hands, she examined the wound. A shallow cut, barely bleeding. But she screamed for her assistant for a doctor, panicking like he was dying. Not once. Not once did she even glance at me, my entire arm soaked in blood. Before she left with Makoto, surrounded by the organizers, the manager, and assistants, she finally turned back. Eyes red, her voice shaking with fury. If Makoto ends up even slightly hurt, George, you can go straight back to the slums where you came from. They left and I couldn't even see her back anymore. I let out a bitter smile, my lips pale as ash. My hand clenched over the cloth pressed to my wound. I'd had hypoglycemia since I was a kid. As dizziness flooded in, I suddenly remembered the Willow from before, the one who used to panic if I got so much as a scratch. She would rush to bandage me with furrowed brows, gently touching each wrapped wound. Even when she began ignoring me more and more for Makoto, she never once looked at me like I was her enemy. My lips trembled. I whispered a few words only I could hear. 10 more days. Then everything went black. I was woken up by someone calling my name. The sharp smell of disinfectant filled my nose. As I struggled to open my eyes, the first thing I saw was Willow standing at my bedside, her expression cold and angry. George, I can't believe this. Just because Makoto got chosen as starter, you went and incited a fan to attack him. Still groggy from just waking up, my mind was in a haze. I opened my mouth and responded instinctively, "What?" Willow's face darkened further. Still pretending? Bring him in! At her words, the hospital room door opened. Several bodyguards entered, dragging in the man who had attacked on stage. Repeat what you just said, Willow ordered. The man, head bowed, repeated the scripted lines like a machine. I'm a fan of God J.O. He told me Makoto stole his starting spot, so I needed to teach him a lesson. The knife and the attack, they were all God Gio's idea. As soon as he gave the signal, I rushed in with the blade. As soon as he finished, he was escorted back out. Willow still looked furious. After a long silence, she frowned deeply. This time you've really gone too far. If you had a problem, you could have talked to me. Why would you hurt Makoto? You know how important his hands are, don't you? I suddenly laughed. There were so many holes in that guy's story, I didn't believe for a second that Willow hadn't noticed. She simply didn't want to notice. She only ever chose to believe Makoto. If I really planned the attack, why didn't anything happen the last time he took the starting role? And why did I end up injured too, even more seriously than him? Willow frowned, blurting out her reply without hesitation. You clearly set it up this time, figured it was the perfect moment, and you got hurt too just to throw off suspicion. But you didn't expect your guy to betray you. I'm telling you now, no more excuses. What's done is done. If you want to stay in this industry, follow the company's arrangement. Makoto will be going to Worlds. Once you're discharged, you're benched. It felt like lightning striking in my ears. Even when I stood on that stage and had everyone turn against me, I never once thought about giving up on Worlds. I froze, unable to believe what I was hearing. I trained for years for this tournament. If I win the championship, I'll be the first player in esports history to achieve a full personal Grand Slam. You know that? But Willow still had her brows furrowed, unmoved. That's when I understood, completely. I closed my eyes, giving up entirely. Willow finally smiled, the kind of smile that stung with irony. Just step aside and follow the company's lead. This is what Makoto wants too. I already promised him I can't let him down. And besides, your arm injury looks serious. Don't bother dreaming about the championship now. Focus on recovery. After surgery in a few days, make sure you go back and serve your suspension. This is Makoto's first time at Worlds. I have to stay with him the whole time. We're flying to Paris first. If you still want to go, we can save you a support staff badge. You can come carry his bags. She turned and left, tossing a staff pass onto the bed behind her. I stared at the ceiling, too stunned to react. Worlds had always been my ultimate goal. Every training session these past few years was for this. And now, just like that, gone. I lay there in despair for 2 full days. Right before surgery, I finally picked up my phone and made a call. David, Worlds is starting soon, right? In 2 days? Can you send someone to pick me up? 2 days after the surgery, right after the bandages came off, I stood up and checked myself out. The nurse tried to stop me. Mr. Wang, your injuries are way worse than Mr. Ito's next door. He only had a small cut, but Ms. Liu's been hovering over him for days. You really shouldn't. I gently refused. It's fine. I rushed back to the base. Only the second team's coach was still around. He never liked me, always close with Makoto. Well, if it isn't DG's so-called God hand, what's wrong? They didn't take you to Worlds this time? I walked past him without saying a word, packed my things quickly, and headed out. Where do you think you're going? Boss Liu said you're supposed to be on lockdown. His yelling faded behind me. I left the DG base. The car was already waiting at the gate and drove me straight to the airport. KR's boss was already there, waiting. You're finally here, Godgeo, let's go. Everything's ready for you. I nodded, then, as if remembering something, said, Wait a second. I pulled out my phone, opened the chat with Willow. The conversation had been quiet for a long time. I sent a picture of the contract date, then shut off my phone. I exhaled. Without looking back, I dragged my suitcase toward the gate. Let's go. When Willow arrived at the hotel arranged by the tournament organizers with the DG team, there were still 3 days left before Worlds officially began. As she was unpacking, she suddenly remembered to remind Makoto. Make sure you rest well and stay focused on training over the next few days, she said. There was no response for a moment. She looked up. Makoto was absorbed in typing on his phone. Willow raised her voice. Makoto! Only then did Makoto look up. He leaned in with a bright smile and asked, Willow, what did you just say? Willow stood up straight, her expression unusually serious. This is your first time starting and it's on the world stage. You need to give it your all. This match isn't just about you. It represents all of DG. Makoto's eyes shifted slightly as he remembered a message from the second team's coach just moments ago. Makoto, George left the base with his luggage. You think this will be a problem? He looked up again, leaned closer to Willow, and shook her hand playfully. I know, Willow. I promise I won't let you down. But about George. Just hearing George's name gave Willow a slight sense of unease, but she forced herself to stay firm and made her decision sound light and final. You just focus on the tournament. He'll be attending in a support staff capacity. Makoto's grin widened, and even his voice grew more cheerful. Then thank you, Willow, for helping tidy up my room. Oh, make sure not to call housekeeping. I don't like strangers touching my stuff. I'll go train with the others now. He strolled out the door, still holding his phone. George's injury wasn't minor. Even if he did show up, he wouldn't be in any condition to play. Besides, Willow's stance had been crystal clear. Makoto typed out a line without hesitation and hit send. Relax. Even if he shows up, he's just backroom staff. Willow already warned him. Humming a tune, he left, unable to hide the smile tugging at his lips. Back in the room, Willow felt dazed for a moment. Makoto's words. They sounded too familiar. She suddenly remembered all the times George had traveled with her for tournaments. No matter how rushed the schedule, how exhausted he was, he would always change the hotel sheets and duvet covers for her the moment they arrived, just because she once casually mentioned she had a bit of OCD. It's okay. I'm not tired. You don't like hotel bedding, and you don't want anyone else touching your stuff. I've got it. I'll still have time to train afterward. He'd always say that, smiling gently as he helped make the bed without complaint. Willow looked at what she was holding in her hands, snapping out of the memory, her expression suddenly turning complicated. Why was she thinking about him now? Frustrated, as if annoyed with herself, she scowled and silently began making Makoto's bed. By evening, Makoto still hadn't returned to his room. Willow finally let out a breath and got up to check the practice room. Makoto, it's getting late. Don't push too hard during training. But the room was empty. She froze, then turned to search the hotel. Eventually, she found Makoto downstairs in the bar, surrounded by teammates. When he saw her, Makoto eagerly rushed over. Willow, you finished making the bed? Come relax with us. Willow frowned. I brought you here early to help you adjust to the time zone and prepare, not for partying. Makoto didn't seem to notice her mood shift. He kept smiling and tugged at her arm. Oh, come on, Willow. We were all exhausted from traveling. Let us chill for just a bit. There are still a few days left. I promise I'll start grinding hard tomorrow. Only then did Willow's expression ease and she gave a reluctant nod. Then you all have fun. I'll just... Before Willow could finish her sentence, the special notification tone from WeChat chimed, a message from someone she had marked as important. She hadn't had the chance to check who it was before Makoto pulled her into the booth. Don't leave, Willow. Stay and have a drink with us. Willow waved him off and sank into the sofa, watching them play drinking games and rock, paper, scissors. Under the dim lights, her thoughts drifted again, this time to the familiar glow of computer monitors in the training room the night before tournaments. No matter what the event, George always gave it his all. Except for the first night, when he'd make the bed for her and let her rest. He spent nearly every other moment in the training room, preparing tirelessly until the tournament began. The deafening music snapped her back to reality. Realizing she had once again thought of George without meaning to, a wave of inexplicable unease rose in Willow's chest. She didn't want to stay any longer. She got up, intending to settle the bill and leave early. But when she instinctively reached into her pocket, her phone wasn't there. Her gaze scanned the room and finally locked on Makoto's side. Her phone was right by his leg. Without thinking she walked over, picked up the phone, and leaned down to whisper into Makoto's ear. I'm going to pay the bill. Don't stay out too late, all right? Makoto looked a bit tipsy, his eyes unfocused, his voice drifting lazily. He draped an arm over her shoulder. Willow, I already paid using your phone. Don't worry about us. You go get some rest. Willow froze for a split second, then nodded with a neutral expression and turned to leave. She was almost at the hotel entrance when she suddenly remembered the WeChat notification from earlier, the one that had chimed when she entered the bar. That sound had only ever been set for one person, George. She had never changed it, not even after everything. Opening their chat, she found the screen completely blank. But she had heard it, she was certain. The special notification had gone off. There had been a message. Willow was just about to turn around and ask Makoto when the team lineup for the next few days was released. DG's first Worlds match would be the following morning, still a few days away. Now that the opponent was confirmed, training and review sessions needed to begin. She didn't bother looking into the disappearing message from George. Instead, she arranged a late-night meeting with the coach to go over the opponent's playstyle and strategy. She and the coach stayed up working out the game plan, but it wasn't until the next afternoon that Makoto finally showed up at the training room. Before Willow could scold him, Makoto was already smiling and pulling out a delicate necklace. Willow, I went out to pick a gift for you. Do you like it? As he spoke, he took out the necklace and gently helped her put it on. The coach, quick to sense the mood, tried to smooth things over. "Oh, it's all right, Willow. Makoto has such raw talent. I'm sure the first match will be a breeze." Hearing that, Makoto raised his chin higher. "Yeah, Willow, don't worry. I'm here now, ready to train. I'll make sure to bring home a win." Willow already felt reassured by the coach's words, and the playful way Makoto gave the gift made her chuckle. "It's okay. I let you start because I trust you. Just stay relaxed and focused." Makoto smiled sweetly in response. But over the next 2 days, he still didn't step into the training room once. Willow remembered the promise he had made but told herself not to push him too hard. The first match came quickly. DG's starting lineup was the same as usual, except for George's absence. As one of the top esports clubs, and with Makoto's growing popularity, viewership hit an all-time high for this streamed match. The bullet comments were flooded with Makoto's name. The match began. All eyes on DG. As the game progressed, DG was at a constant disadvantage. Willow clenched her fists under the table. It had been a long time since she felt this nervous during a game. Because when George was playing, no matter who the opponent was, victory had never been in doubt. The fans' hype gradually faded on the live stream, replaced by viewers genuinely analyzing the match. What's going on? Isn't DG supposed to be really strong? Why are they being pushed back so hard? It's gotta be the jungler. He's not controlling the pace. What is he doing? Honestly, I don't understand his decisions. George's matches were so much smoother to watch. By 35 minutes in, DG's towers were all down. Their nexus was one push away from collapse. At 41 minutes, the final whistle blew. DG lost their first match. The chat exploded with criticism, but Willow didn't have the energy to care. The door to the restroom burst open. Makoto walked in and angrily slammed his headset to the floor. Then, crash! Cups, tissue boxes, and a speaker were swept off the table in a fit of rage. Makoto was panting, his face dark with frustration. Willow sat calmly on the sofa, her expression unreadable. The rest of the team didn't dare say anything to Makoto, nor did they try to guess what their boss was thinking. They exchanged a few uneasy glances and began taking the blame one by one. "It was my fault. I didn't support the ADC in time. I messed up too. I was too aggressive when I should have played safe. I didn't farm properly in the early game, which caused..." Enough. Willow stood up and cut them off. She had seen it clearly. The other four performed as expected. Only Makoto had panicked and lost control, disrupting the rhythm. "No matter the result, you all worked hard. Go rest for now. There's still time before the second match." Makoto stays. With that, the others left with the coach to review the game, leaving only Willow and Makoto in the room. Though she usually spoiled Makoto, she never took matches lightly. Her voice was cold and sharp. "You know the problem was you, right?" She looked at him. Makoto was slouched on the sofa, silent. She pressed on, lips tightening. "You also know how important this match was. Since that's the case, we'll have to get someone to help you." Makoto finally looked up, but still said nothing. Willow's next words were icy and firm. "George will help you review the game and teach you how to play." Makoto froze for a moment, then exploded. "No way, I don't agree. Why should he teach me? Who gave him the right?" Willow's brows furrowed, and for the first time she called him by his full name. "Makoto Ito, do you even understand what losing the first match means? DG's reputation, investments, and future, they could all collapse because of you. I let George go because I believed in your dream. And what have you done? No review, no training? Is this what a match means to you? Is this what being a pro means to you?" Maybe it was the severity in her tone, but Makoto finally softened his voice. "No. Willow, that's not what I meant. What if George refuses? I did take his starter spot after all." Seeing his attitude shift, Willow eased up as well. "You don't need to worry about that. I'll talk to him." With that, she picked up her phone and dialed. But all she got in return was a mechanical voice. "The number you have dialed is not in service." Willow's brows knitted again. Her fingers unconsciously tightened around the phone. She sat in silence for a long moment before opening their chat window and sending a message, only to be met with a large red exclamation mark. Then she suddenly remembered that special notification sound from the night at the bar. She looked up, her gaze locking onto Makoto's eyes. That night, at the bar. "Did you mess with my chat history?" Makoto's eyes widened instantly, full of innocent panic. "Why would I do that, Willow? Are you actually suspecting me?" Willow hesitated. Then she waved her hand dismissively. No, maybe I imagined it. Go find the coach and start reviewing. I'll handle George. The sound of the door closing echoed behind him. Only then did Willow collapse back onto the sofa, exhausted. DG's first match had been a disaster. Online outrage and ridicule were pouring in, and she hadn't even had time to address it. Now Worlds had been going for 2 full days, and George had disappeared. All she asked was for him to help with logistics, and he couldn't even cooperate. Still throwing a tantrum now? Willow sighed, but then suddenly remembered his injured arm, and her anxiety spiked. What if it hadn't healed yet? She quickly called the hospital, only to be told that George had already been discharged and left. Then where could he have gone? She thought for a while, then dialed the second team's coach. You've been staying at the base, right? Is George there? The person on the other end paused, then quickly spilled everything. Boss Lou, Makoto didn't tell you George came back that day with his suitcase, then immediately left again. We couldn't stop him. Didn't even go into suspension. A terrible sense of dread washed over Willow. Her grip on the phone was so tight her knuckles turned white. When exactly? 2 days after you all left, I think it was the night you checked into the hotel. Willow abruptly ended the call with a click, her hand dropping to her side. It matched what the hospital said. So George had left just a couple days after surgery, with a suitcase. Where could he have gone? Vacation? She suddenly remembered. He had once mentioned wanting to travel. It was during their 3rd anniversary. It had been the peak of both his career and the company's growth. He was busy with tournaments. She was buried in operations. They didn't even meet until the day after their anniversary. That day, George handed her the championship trophy he had just won and pulled her down onto the bed with it. I already have you the trophy and my dream. The only thing I haven't done is see the world. After I retire, let's go on a round-the-world honeymoon, okay? Suddenly, a knock at the door broke her thoughts. A wave of frustration surged through Willow. She glanced down at her phone and suddenly felt a flash of resentment toward George's profile picture. They had agreed to walk this path together until the end. Yet now at the most critical moment, he had abandoned her to go on vacation. Anger clouded her mind. In a burst of emotion, Willow deleted their entire chat history. Only after doing it did she get up and open the door. Standing outside was the coach, wearing an apologetic smile. Willow, any chance George could come? All these years, he's been the one handling everything, from pre-game prep to post-game review. He always led the analysis, and to be honest, after today's match, he probably understands the problems better than I do. Having him back to help Makoto review would be the best move right now. Willow was already stressed over the situation. Hearing that, she simply waved her hand. Go ahead and start reviewing with the team. I'll try to contact him. But despite what she said, by the time DG's second match started, she still hadn't been able to reach George. He had blocked her on every platform, disappeared from her life like he never existed. She had even contacted the wedding planner. The answer she got was, Mr. Wang canceled the reservation a long time ago. Willow's anxiety grew stronger by the hour. But with another match about to begin, she had no choice but to shove that creeping panic deep down. Over the following days, DG had game after game lined up. The players, as if injected with adrenaline, trained obsessively and reviewed every scrim with relentless energy, but it was no use. 3 consecutive matches, all devastating losses. For 3 days straight, Willow wore a cold expression, watching the team review match footage again and again. After the 3rd loss, she finally snapped. She pulled the coach aside into the training room. Whose fault is it? Don't hold back and just say it. The coach hesitated for a moment but eventually spoke. It's Makoto. He can't control the tempo, and his shot calling is all over the place. I tried switching the in-game leader, but his cooperation level is way too low. It didn't work. This is a team game, but he doesn't seem to understand the concept. And his mechanics and game sense are also... Willow waved a hand, signaling him to stop. Her face grew darker by the second. When she spoke again, her voice was ice cold. Call him in. Moments later, Makoto stood alone in the training room. Willow got straight to the point. Do you know what your problem is? This is a team game, and stop trying to play lone wolf. I won't say more, but if we don't win the next match, I'll bench you. Makoto instantly looked up, his eyes red with anger. Bench me? Why should I be taken off the lineup? Weren't you the one who said you believed in my dream? You already decided to replace George with me. Why bring someone else in now? At the mention of George, Willow's frustration only deepened. Her voice turned even colder. I do support your dream. And yes, I've gone out of my way to help you because of who you are. But don't forget, the one who put you here can take you down just as easily. If you can't take matches seriously, then DG doesn't need you. With that, she didn't spare him another glance and walked to the doorway, addressing the players waiting outside. Everyone, I know losing several games in a row has been exhausting, but I hope you'll keep your spirits up. For the remaining matches, if we win, your bonuses will be tripled. Whether it was because they had overheard Makoto being reprimanded or because they were simply fed up, the players didn't look the least bit excited. Instead, complaints erupted. Doesn't matter how much you triple it. With a teammate who refuses to cooperate, it's pointless. Exactly. Willow, you reviewed the matches too. You know who the problem is. It'd honestly be better if George came back. Though that last line was muttered, everyone heard it loud and clear. Makoto gritted his teeth and glared at them, but Willow stopped him with just a look. That's enough. I only want one thing from you. Do your best. I know Worlds means a lot to each and every one of you. Maybe it was her firm tone, or maybe her words really struck a chord. Either way, Makoto finally quieted down, and the team began working together more smoothly. In the matches that followed, DG didn't lose again, until the final day of competition arrived. Still no news from him? What's the point of keeping you people around? A grown man vanishes and not a single one of you can find him? Willow slammed the phone down in frustration. There were 2 matches scheduled today, and the last one was against DG's biggest rival. Back when George was still on the team, KR had always ended up in second place, never able to beat them. But this year, Willow shut off her phone in irritation. She still had no clue where George was. Even though DG had been winning recently, she still didn't fully trust Makoto's abilities. The clock ticked on. The pre-game whistle sounded. Just before going on stage, Willow pulled Makoto aside. You must win this morning's match. If you don't, I'll have no choice but to let George play this afternoon. Makoto's eyes flickered as if recent wins had restored his confidence. He nodded without hesitation. I will. I'm not giving him any chance to go on stage. A flicker of complexity passed over Willow's face, but she said nothing and let him head up. But the outcome was far from satisfactory. When Makoto walked back into the lounge, Willow was already there, her expression cold and furious. What the hell were you doing out there? Zoning out in the middle of a match? Makoto, do you actually want me to bring George back? The moment she said that, Makoto understood. She hadn't found George. If she had, she wouldn't be standing here saying all this. George would have already been on stage. Makoto smirked. Willow, still no luck finding George, huh? Guess I'm your only option. Don't worry. I'll give it everything I've got for the final match. Willow clenched her teeth in anger, then let out a cold laugh. Trying to threaten me now? Huh. You're not stepping on that stage this afternoon unless it's the last possible second. I will find him. With that, she turned and stormed off. She immediately called her father's secretary. It was the first time she had ever reached out to her family since refusing to inherit the company. Time ticked by. The final match was scheduled for 3:00 p.m. At 2:40, both teams entered the arena. At 2:50, pre-match preparations began. At 2:55, the host started introducing the players. And her phone rang. Willow answered almost instantly, her heart pounding in her chest. Miss, we've located Mr. Wang. He's in Paris, at the World's venue. His current ID is...
Real life.
The host's voice and the person on the other end of the phone overlapped perfectly. Willow looked up in a daze. Standing at the center of KR's starting lineup was that all-too-familiar face. George. When I arrived in Paris, I headed straight to KR's headquarters. David carried my luggage as he enthusiastically showed me around. I felt a little awkward. Even though we had known each other for a while, he was still the owner of KR. David, I can carry it myself. You've already done so much letting me join the team. I shouldn't trouble you like this. David chuckled and pointed in a direction. If you want to thank someone, thank Anna. It was all her idea. I followed his finger and saw a girl about my age jogging over. KR is Chairman Shu's pride and joy. I'm just a proxy secretary. The one who truly wanted to bring you into the team is his daughter, David said. Just as he finished speaking, Anna reached me. Hi, God, J.O., I'm Anna. I've been your fan ever since your debut. I never imagined we'd actually meet like this. Tired? Let's get you to your room first. Oh, and with your skill level, you'll be joining the main roster right away. Anna kept talking nonstop the whole way, but I didn't find it annoying. In fact, by the time we arrived at the dorms, I was startled to realize I had unconsciously started smiling. KR's facilities were leagues ahead of DG's. My room alone was at least twice as big. Oh, and Miss Shoot, there's no need to call me God Geo. Just call me George. Anna blinked, surprised, then spoke with exaggerated heartbreak. God Geo? Where's that confidence you had on stage? I smiled faintly, my tone just as calm. That's all in the past. I'm not God Geo anymore. Don't you know I'm the disgraced pro who rage quit mid-match? Anna didn't even hesitate. That's impossible. I watched that game and it wasn't your style at all. The rhythm was off, coordination wasn't there. Anyone who's seen even 2 of your matches would know something was wrong. I was a bit surprised. I thought she was just being polite earlier when she said she was a fan. I smiled and shook my head, lifting my suitcase to put it away. I didn't expect you to know me that well. But I don't deserve the title of God Geo anymore. I didn't even qualify for Worlds. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my arm, and I nearly dropped the suitcase. Thankfully, a hand reached out just in time to catch it. I turned to see Anna, her expression serious, a stark contrast to the cheerful girl from moments ago. You do qualify. You're going to play in Worlds, and you will. George, go reclaim the name God Geo. Even after Anna left the room, her words still echoed in my ears. I lay down, raising my arm, still wrapped in gauze. With a soft sigh, I let out a quiet laugh. Even I wasn't sure I could pull it off. So why was Anna so confident? So persistent? That afternoon, I got my answer. George, come down quick! Hearing my name, I hurried downstairs and was stunned at what I saw. An entire set of brand new esports gear had been set up, far better than anything DG's base ever had. George, there's another set over here. It's the same model you used during your official matches. Which one do you want? Only then did I notice the second set, identical to the one Willow once gifted me. I paused for a moment, then pointed at the setup in front of me. It was time to cut ties with the past. This one. Thank you, Miss Shu. I'll send you the money for it. Anna waved it off quickly. Bring home the World's trophy, that'll be the best payment. The moment she said Worlds, a dull pain pulsed through my arm again. The excitement I had just felt was instantly washed away. I forced a smile and lifted my arm slightly. Miss Shu, I'm afraid I'll disappoint you. But Anna stepped forward, gently cupping my arm with both hands. Her voice was firm and sincere. You won't. George, I believe in you. My heart skipped a beat. After carrying this weight and shame for so long, after being thrown aside by my teammates, even by Willow, who had been by my side for 5 years, there was still someone who believed in me without hesitation. Anna continued, examining my arm. After a moment, she looked up and smiled softly. I believe in you. Now you need to believe in me. George, isn't this your dream? Anna moved quickly. Within just a few hours, the private doctor had arrived at the base. She smiled as she explained to George, This is my senior from med school, currently the most respected orthopedic expert in Paris. Then she turned and began explaining the basic situation in French. I've already checked him. His arm has a minor bone injury. Although he's already had surgery and is in recovery, further treatment is still needed from you. Her senior examined the injury with his equipment for quite a while before smiling. No problem. Anna, leave it to me. Just do me a favor and let him know. The first session tonight will be extremely painful. Anna translated it truthfully. 2 hours later, the necessary equipment was delivered, and the treatment began. She stayed by my side the whole time, helping distract me. Actually, I originally studied medicine, but after my mother passed away, I went into a sort of trauma response. I couldn't bring myself to pick up a scalpel again. That period was really dark. I went back to my home country and stayed with my grandmother. It was a rundown alley, chaotic and messy, full of internet cafes. To numb myself, I spent my days in one of them, sitting for hours just watching all kinds of people come and go. I looked into it. You used to live in that area too, right? I wonder if you ever saw a boy there. Every time the cafe held a mini tournament, he'd win, but he always looked like he was going through hell. Anna seemed to remember something, her tone turning a little excited and curious as she smiled. I'd never seen a champion who was so tough yet so miserable. Later, when my dad opened a club, I tried to go back and find him. After all, getting through that time was all because of him. But maybe it wasn't meant to be. I never saw him again. I froze for a moment, still silent when the evening training alarm went off. Anna reached over to turn it off, only to catch a glimpse of the wallpaper. It was a very familiar internet cafe storefront. She turned to look at me in surprise. I gave a bitter smile. Yeah, that boy was me. That cafe was where I played my last local tournament. It was also where Willow came to take me away. Thinking of Willow, I couldn't help zoning out. Would things have ended better if I had met Anna first? A sharp pain in my arm snapped me back to reality. Maybe my expression gave away my sense of loss because Anna quickly changed the topic. Senior, how's it looking? Nothing serious, right? Her senior packed away the equipment and nodded. The World Championship is still a few days away. You'll be good to go. Just make sure to apply the ointment and massage the arm daily. Wear the elastic wrist brace if necessary. Anna saw him off, then came back and naturally began helping me with the massage. Neither of us said anything. After a long silence, she sighed softly. If only I had met you earlier. After leaving the internet cafe, did you go straight to DG? What happened there? If David hadn't mentioned you by chance, would I have missed you all over again? I lowered my eyes and shook my head without speaking. Seeing that I wasn't ready to talk, Anna didn't press. Then rest for now. We'll talk about the championship lineup tomorrow. No pressure. But as soon as she left the room, Anna was on the phone with her assistant. David, you know George well. What really happened to him at DG? I want every detail. The next day, a new email arrived in her inbox. She sat at her desk and opened it, her expression growing darker by the minute. Then came a knock at the door. She quickly shut the laptop and greeted me with a smile. Come on, time to meet the coach and the rest of the team. Following behind her, I couldn't help feeling nervous. Everyone knew about my black marks. Even teammates who knew the truth had trouble accepting it, let alone those who didn't. And I had parachuted into the team, taking over someone's starting spot. My mind drifted as we arrived at the training hall. God Geo. It's really God Geo. I'm your biggest fan. God Geo, can I get a picture? Live and in person. God Geo, will you carry me in a match sometime? Instead of cold ridicule, the main KR team members were all genuinely excited. Just then, a young man stepped forward and held out his hand to me. George, I'm the team's jungler and shot caller. I've always wanted to know what kind of person kept KR in second place. Now I finally get to meet you. I instinctively reached out to shake his hand, though my mind hadn't caught up yet. The KR team was so friendly that all the mental defenses I had prepared crumbled instantly. Anna cleared her throat twice, helping me out of the awkward moment. Fan meeting can wait. Play a match first, let George get a feel for things, then try one with him in the team. Maybe because Anna wasn't exactly the club's owner, everyone was pretty relaxed and familiar around her. The players joked and messed around as they sat at their stations and started the first game. After a few rounds, I already had a good grasp of their dynamics. Then I joined in for the final round, mainly to test our coordination. What I didn't expect was that we clicked surprisingly well. Not a single mistake. Every player showed excellent synergy and skill. As the victory sound rang out, Anna was the first to rush up and hug me. Amazing. I knew you could do it. But I didn't look particularly happy. I hesitated for a moment. So, what about the original starting player? Before Anna could respond, the young man who'd introduced himself earlier spoke up. George, what matters is KR winning the championship. And with your skill, I'm convinced. No hard feelings. I relaxed a little, only for a dull pain to suddenly shoot through my arm, nerves around the injury twitching again. Anna noticed something was off in my expression and immediately supported my arm. She frowned and for the first time looked truly serious. Can you handle it? Are you really going to play? I nodded slowly, just once, but with full determination. Yes. Anna stared at me for a moment, then suddenly smiled. All right. Just like I said, I believe in you. 3 days until the World Championship. I began training at the base around the clock. No one tried to stop me or talk me out of it. Anna delivered my meals on time and massaged my arm like clockwork. The coach and players stayed by my side, only resting when they absolutely had to. Every other moment was spent building team synergy with me. Not a single complaint echoed through the base. Everyone knew, if we won the championship, I would become the first esports player to achieve a Grand Slam. 2 days before the championship, Anna's senior came back for another checkup and treatment. He advised that I get some rest, but Anna turned him down. I know what he wants more than rest. I'll keep a close eye on his arm myself. One day before the championship, Anna stayed with me, training late into the night. She handed me a cup of warm water, resting her chin on her hand as she smiled at me. Tomorrow's the big day. Nervous? I unwrapped the elastic brace, took the water, and sipped it. Then I lifted my chin and smiled back. Nervous? Not at all. The stage is my comfort zone. Anna laughed even brighter. Now that's the god Geo I know. So, God Geo, time to change your ID. I thought for a moment, then looked straight into her eyes. Re-life, a new life. Anna's eyes suddenly welled up. He had suffered so much. She thought of his wallpaper. She had assumed that leaving the internet cafe meant a new beginning, but DG turned out to be just another hell. Re-life. Did it mean that KR was the true fresh start? Anna opened her mouth, her voice slightly hoarse. All right. She stared at me quietly. I smiled softly, my face lit beautifully by the glow of the monitor. She didn't want to break the rare peace we had found, but she couldn't hold it in. George, I like you. I froze. The bluntness of the confession caught me off guard, but I quickly collected myself. After these days together, it wasn't like I hadn't felt it. But Anna was the one who gave me a new life. And besides, our positions were so different. It all felt so familiar. I didn't dare say yes. Pressing my lips together, I spoke softly. Can we talk after the tournament? Anna smiled even more. It's okay. You don't have to say yes. After the championship, I'll chase you. Sleep early. See you tomorrow. With that, she turned and walked back to her dorm. I sat there for a long while before finally standing up and leaving. The next day, the World Championship officially began. After days of intense training, my coordination with the main KR team had become seamless. We won almost every match in the early rounds until the final match approached. Anna knocked on my door with the matchup schedule in her hand. Tomorrow's final match, we're going up against DG. I froze, then smiled. Do you trust me? Anna nodded without hesitation. I do. Final match. Countdown 5 minutes. The announcer began introducing the players from both teams. Starting jungler for KR Relife. I stood up, right as my eyes locked with Willow's in the audience. When she saw that face clearly, Willow was stunned for a good few dozen seconds. It wasn't until the host finished introducing the rest of the KR lineup that she snapped back to reality. She instinctively wanted to rush up to demand an explanation, but was blocked and held back by the staff. The match had officially begun. It was too late for everything now. Makoto sat in the shot caller's seat, slightly turning his head to peer through a gap in the monitors at George sitting directly across from him. His eyes inevitably landed on the compression wrist brace. He narrowed his eyes and curled his lips slightly. Looks like George's injury hasn't fully healed. And with brand new teammates, they've only had a few days to practice together. If he could beat George this time, not only would they win the championship, they'd crush the living legend of the esports world. Willow and all of DG would be under his feet. Thinking this, Makoto's expression darkened as he sat up straight. I didn't pay much attention to Makoto's expression. I just glanced at Willow before shifting my focus fully onto the game. After nearly half a month of high-intensity training and competition, the injury in my arm was starting to show signs of worsening. I steadied my thoughts and forcibly suppressed the pain that was slowly surfacing. The first game began. KR's teamwork was tight, every move solid and well-coordinated. My tempo and predictions were on point. Just 20 minutes in, our team's gold lead was crushing DG. As the final team fight began, I held full control over the situation. Just as we were about to wipe out the enemy team, our marksman was suddenly ambushed, and of all times, my arm flared with sharp pain. My fingers spasmed, and I delayed my ultimate by 2 seconds. The entire fight flipped in an instant. KR got wiped. DG revived 2 members and quickly regained gold advantage. While waiting to respawn, I clenched one fist while swiping rapidly with the other hand to analyze the battlefield. Marksman and mid will respawn together, protect the crystal, clear the waves. Support scout vision. I'll solo pick off someone. After quickly giving commands, I grabbed my phone again, eyes locked on the screen. The moment I revived, I charged forward. But that teamfight mistake had been fatal. Even with our full 5 pushing to the limit, we couldn't recover the win for Game 1. Halftime break. Makoto stepped off the stage, smiling brightly, and walked straight toward Willow. So, Willow, didn't I say replacing George was the best decision? But instead of the praise he expected, he got a bucket of cold water to the face. You think I didn't notice? If it weren't for that one team fight mistake, do you really think you could have beaten him? Makoto's smile faltered. His tone grew defensive. If he made a mistake, that just proves his decision-making is flawed. Willow, however, gave a cold sneer, her gaze locked on George's direction. That was an external factor. His decision-making has never failed. In her line of sight, George was smiling apologetically at his teammates before taking a water bottle from a girl. The girl seemed very familiar with him. She even gently massaged the arm wrapped in the brace. Willow's eyes instantly welled up. Her fists trembled at her sides. God knows how badly she wanted to run over and question George. Why did he leave the base without a word? Why was he getting so close to another woman? Why was he playing for KR? Suddenly remembering something, she waved over the team manager. When does George's contract expire? Didn't he already sign on as our head coach? The manager looked momentarily confused, then answered cautiously. President Liu, didn't you know George never signed the coaching contract? His player contract expired just a few days ago. And he said he sent the termination report directly to you. The announcement for Game 2 preparations echoed throughout the arena. Willow blankly turned her eyes toward Makoto, who was walking back onto the stage. The memory of her phone disappearing in the bar the other night flashed through her mind. Something inside her snapped. Makoto didn't notice Willow's expression. He strutted confidently to his seat, then lifted his chin in a taunt, making a mocking gesture as he locked eyes with me. My gaze slid right over him as if he didn't exist. I calmly sat down and put on my headset. Game 2 began. I tightened my wrist brace and poured everything into the match. KR dominated completely. Total control, total momentum. By the second half of the game, our victory was nearly guaranteed. As the in-game announcement declared defeat for the opposing team, Makoto slammed down his headset in frustration. He walked off stage silently and sat beside a grim-faced Willow. We need to talk after the match, she said. Makoto assumed it was about losing Game 2. He didn't think much of it and just nodded dismissively. The final game started soon after. As expected, KR completely steamrolled DG. Makoto was practically hunted the entire match. In the last 3 minutes, he suddenly slammed his keyboard and yanked off his headset before walking off the stage. The bullet comments on the live stream exploded, scrolling twice as fast as normal. What kind of move is that? Did Makoto just rage quit? This feels familiar. Remember the last DG exhibition match? George rage quit mid-game too. No way. Look at these last few matches. God Geo has been absolutely dominating. You really think he rage quit? Has anyone considered this? What if it was Makoto who rage quit last time too? The user who posted that comment had a very high level, so the bullet comment was enlarged and floated on the main screen for nearly 10 seconds, long enough for everyone at the venue to see it clearly. Offstage, Anna put away her phone right after sending a bullet comment. She opened her arms with a bright smile, welcoming me, a joyful, tight embrace. Within seconds, everyone crowded around us. God Geo champion! Our KR won the championship! Does this mean God Geo has officially completed the Grand Slam? Anna looked up at me, her eyes sparkling. Congratulations, George. Come on, let's get you checked again and let you rest for tonight. After the award ceremony tomorrow, we'll throw you a proper celebration. She carried my things and led me all the way back to the base. No one noticed the dark expression in Willow's eyes behind us. The entire DG team was shrouded in silence. No one dared to speak. Willow returned to the hotel with a cold face, slamming the door shut behind her. A new email suddenly popped into her inbox. She opened it, and her pupils shrank, her fingertips trembling harder and harder. Moments later, the phone hit the floor. The file in the inbox contained all the evidence of Makoto framing and defaming George, including bullying teammates and assaulting fans, all of it orchestrated by Makoto himself. Come to my room, now. 2 minutes later, Makoto knocked on the door. Willow yanked him inside. I'll give you one last chance. That night at the bar, what did George send? Was it you who deleted the message? Behind her, Makoto clenched his fists, but his face instantly twisted into a pitiful expression of disbelief. You still don't believe me? I already told you I didn't do anything. Willow stared at him with a blank expression. Fine, then the accusations. About bullying teammates and assaulting fans. Did you have anything to do with that? Makoto's eyes suddenly widened. That wasn't me. And besides, I got hurt too. Willow nodded, then handed him her phone. Then how do you explain this, Makoto? I once saw you as no different from my own brother. That's why I did everything I could to support your dream. But you? You set George up, drove him away, partied the night before a championship, and rage quit mid-match. After all this, how can you stay in this team with a straight face? You're not even half the man George is. Makoto stared at the email content, his eyes turning red. Then suddenly he laughed. And you're any better? You made him take the fall for me. Forced him to live in a storage room. Took away his gear. Postponed the wedding. Wasn't that all you're doing too? Stop pretending, Willow. You liked me too, didn't you? The only reason you got with him was because he reminded you of me. Now that he's gone, it's the perfect chance for us. As he spoke, he leaned closer, his hand snaking around her waist suggestively. Slap Willow shoved him away without hesitation, delivering a clean, loud slap. I've only ever loved George. He's the one who stood by me and by DG all the way. If your heart isn't in the game anymore, then after tomorrow's award ceremony, leave. DG doesn't need you anymore. I'll have your sister pick you up, but the debt you owe George, we'll settle that once you're home. Makoto tried to speak again, but Willow cut him off impatiently. She waved her hand, signaling for him to get out. Makoto's eyes darkened slightly. He turned and left. His plan had been to get rid of George and have Willow willingly hand DG over to him. But now Makoto flexed his fingers and sent out a message. Is everything ready? At tomorrow's awards ceremony, I want to destroy him completely. I knew none of this. My injury felt worse than before, as if the wound had been torn open again. After checking, Anna's senior left behind a few boxes of medicine and advised me to suspend all competitive activities for the time being. Anna applied the medicine for me. It's all right. The tournament's over and you've completed your Grand Slam. Just focus on the award ceremony tomorrow. She wasn't wrong. I let out a quiet breath, feeling grateful that things had ended well. The next morning, KR was fully prepped and headed to the award venue. On the way, we ran into several other teams. Everyone offered congratulations and polite greetings. Our support player whispered, "All these people are so two-faced." Before Worlds started, they were all whispering behind your back. Now that God Geo's won the championship, they're all over you. I smiled. It's all right. That's normal. In esports, being bad is a sin. Anna said nothing, just tapping away silently on her phone. After she sent her last message, she finally looked up. There was a smile on her face as she waved her phone in front of me. George, one more surprise for you today. The pre-show warm-up at the awards ceremony dragged on for hours. It wasn't until 3 hours later that the actual awards began. After KR received the team trophy, I was asked to remain on stage. The host followed the usual script and asked, God Geo, as the first player in esports history to complete a Grand Slam, how do you feel? I had been told in advance that this segment was coming, so I wasn't nervous. I calmly picked up the mic. Of course, it's an incredible honor. Besides thanking my own hard work, I also want to thank my former organization for their support and my current team for believing in me. When I mentioned DG, I meant it with genuine gratitude. Oh? You brought it up yourself. Seems like you don't mind. Then may I ask, there was no announcement and the transfer happened so suddenly right before Worlds. Was there a reason for that? I smiled, nothing to hide. DG truly gave me my first big break, but differing philosophies don't conflict with past appreciation. The host got the answer they wanted and was about to let me go. All right, thank you for sharing, God Geo, and congratulations again on your championship victory. You may now step down and, did he really win that championship fair and square? Makoto's voice suddenly boomed from the sound system, magnified 1,000-fold. No one knew where he was at first, but then the spotlights dimmed, all except for one beam that focused on Makoto's wrist brace. His voice echoed again through the arena. Inside that brace is what he used to cheat. The special compound in it works just like a performance enhancer. The audience gasped. The bullet comments exploded across the screen. Exposed by a former teammate? Is this for real? Sounds legit. Didn't he already have a record? Bullying teammates and stuff. Makoto gave a low, smug laugh as the spotlight shifted to the big screen. The evidence is on the screen now. Everyone, please take a look. Every gaze immediately locked onto the screen. But the footage that lit up wasn't of me. It was Makoto caught rage-quitting during the exhibition match, editing footage to frame me for bullying, and chat logs where he incited fans to commit violence. The live camera wavered for a second, but quickly stabilized. After all, both of us were trending figures. The bullet comments blew up. Wait, wasn't this supposed to be George's dirt? Why is it Makoto's? Is this legit? Damn. All of this was Makoto's doing. Look at KR's official account. They just posted more evidence. Everything Makoto did is being exposed. Within seconds, hashtags like Makoto, George, KR doesn't tolerate internal abuse, Makoto exposed, justice for George, all shot to the top of the trending list. And the two people most stunned at that moment were the ones involved. I was staring blankly at the screen when suddenly the lights brightened again, and Anna stepped in to take over for the host. Beside her, security guards were escorting a man onto the stage. Everyone. Anna spoke clearly. We've already investigated the allegations against KR player George. This man was caught in the resting lounge this morning, holding the exact substance that Mr. Ito claimed to be a performance-enhancing drug. The official hospital and police have confirmed George has nothing to do with any doping. In fact, Mr. Ito, your phone contained chat logs linked to you and the real culprit. As she spoke, the chat messages were displayed on the big screen. Makoto, hiding in the corner, tried to run, but was immediately restrained by the police and brought to the stage. Cameras pointed directly at him. The flashes were endless. Makoto panicked and shouted Willow's name like a drowning man. Those videos are fake, Willow! Willow, you believe me, right? Tell them! Tell them they're fake. I didn't do those things. But in the next second, Willow stepped on stage, staring hard at him. All of those videos are real. The company only had George take the blame to protect you. But Makoto, you've gone too far. Then she turned to me, her eyes filled with emotion. George, did you really transfer to KR just to spite me? You've seen now, DG will terminate Makoto's contract. We've cleared your name. Isn't it time to stop being angry and come back? I looked at her too, but my expression was ice cold. No. Willow's smile froze on her face. She forced a grin and asked, What? I looked straight at her, calm but firm. I said no. It's not out of spite. I just won't be going back. Chairwoman Liu, our contract is terminated. I have no ties with DG anymore. Willow acted like she couldn't hear me. She spoke to herself as if convincing both of us. But the coaching agreement is already... You don't want to coach, right? You want to keep playing. I can arrange that. Once Makoto's contract is voided, you can come back as a starting player again. How about that? I fiddled with the microphone, speaking mildly. No, like I said, I'm not going back to DG. Willow began to panic. Her fists clenched slightly at her sides, trembling. You're really just going to walk away from teammates you fought side by side with for years? I let out a low laugh. What else should I do? When they abandoned me and when you abandoned me, it was just as clean, just as easy. Willow bit down hard on her lip, her eyes reddening. And what about us, George? What about our 5 years? Weren't we supposed to get married? At that, I finally looked up at her and sighed softly. Willow, the moment you threw me under the bus to protect Makoto, when you postponed our wedding for him, we were already done. 5 years of loyalty, I've already paid it back. Taking the fall, the warehouse, the gear, the injury, I paid it all. Let it go, Willow. We're over. With that, I turned around and walked off the stage, not caring about the eyes on me or the chaos I left behind. Behind me, Willow's voice rang out, raw, desperate, and full of pain, but I didn't have the heart to turn around anymore. She was shaking all over. She had only meant to try and keep him around when the transfer happened, but now it felt like her heart was being crushed. She no longer cared about the murmurs from the audience or the flurry of bullet comments online. She stood there in a daze until George's silhouette disappeared behind the exit. Then she slowly straightened up and turned her gaze to Makoto standing beside her. Fury boiled up, consuming all reason. She waved for security to take him away and followed them down. She didn't care how the venue handled the aftermath anymore. She knew one thing. Makoto had ruined everything. If I remember right, she said coldly, you insisted on going pro to avoid a marriage your family arranged. You didn't want to be someone's stay-at-home husband, right? Makoto, hands bound by the guards, was thrown to the ground. When he heard that, he immediately scrambled forward on his knees. Willow, please, I can't go back! If I end up as a live-in son-in-law, I'll be humiliated for life. I'm begging you. I know I was wrong, don't send me back! Willow stepped back to put distance between them. She pulled out her phone and made a call. When are you picking your brother up? You saw what he did, right? Yeah, tomorrow morning. I'll meet you at the airport. She hung up and looked at Makoto, disbelief in his eyes. After a moment, he let out 2 bitter laughs. Hey, Willow, you really think sending me back is the end of it? You think I can't find my way back into the esports world? Willow frowned, then glanced at him with open disgust. She waved her hand. Someone come here. Break his arm, not entirely. Just bad enough that it won't heal properly. If you can't keep your hands off sabotage, let me help. Try playing esports without a working arm. Blame yourself. You messed with the one person you should never have touched. With that, she turned and walked away. By the time she reached the end of the hallway, a blood-curdling scream echoed from the room behind her. Her phone buzzed twice. She looked at the screen before stepping into a car. Private banquet room at the sponsor's hotel B206, KR's victory party. Outside the banquet door, Willow thought of George's cold, merciless eyes and suddenly felt unsure. She was afraid he'd reject her again without hesitation. She lingered outside for a long time, listening to the lively laughter and cheering inside. Then someone called out in a teasing voice, "Anna, do you like God Geo or what? You've been staring at him nonstop. Just confess already." Anna's voice answered with a smile, "What are you hyping me up for?" "I already confessed. George said he'd give me an answer after the championship." That set off even louder cheers. "God Geo, say something. Say yes. Say yes." The next second, I finally opened my mouth, my voice filled with excitement and emotion. Willow couldn't bear to hear the answer. She burst through the door and interrupted me. "I don't agree, George. You can't say yes to her." The private room fell silent almost instantly. Everyone turned toward the source of the voice. Anna reacted first. She let out a cold laugh and stepped in front of Willow. "Chairwoman Liu, I think you're at the wrong place. This is KR's victory party." Only then did Willow shift her gaze to her. Anna Shu, the heiress of the Shu family. From the first time she saw Anna beside George, Willow had already investigated her background thoroughly. Anna remained composed and nodded. "That's me. We have other matters tonight, so I'm afraid we won't be able to entertain Chairwoman Liu. Please leave." But Willow didn't move. She turned back to me. "George, come with me." "I need to talk to you." Anna scoffed. "Say whatever you need to say right here." I nodded as well. "Yeah, say it here." Willow clenched her teeth, wanting to step forward, but Anna blocked her again. She glared at Anna, then finally opened her mouth, her voice slightly hoarse. "I'm sorry, George. Will you come back? I've already dealt with Makoto. Stop being angry with me, please. Come back to DG, all right?" I shook my head without hesitation. My voice was steady and decisive. "No, even without Makoto, there'll still be people like Li Tengcheng or Wang Tengcheng. I'm grateful to DG and to you, but I've already paid my dues. Where I go next, that's my choice." Willow nearly screamed, her voice cracking with desperation. "What about me then? You're just going to abandon me? What about our 5 years?" I regretted. I know I was wrong. "Please, come back with me." I sighed. "I already told you, it ended when Makoto took my place. It ended when I was thrown under the bus to protect him. So yes, we're done. I'm not going back." Willow seemed like she'd snapped. Her eyes turned red, but she forced a twisted smile. Suddenly, a group of bodyguards rushed in through the door and surrounded the entire room. "George," Willow said, voice calm but filled with menace. "If I were that easy to deal with, I wouldn't have built DG from the ground up. I wouldn't have led you out of a lawless slum with nothing but grit and blood. When I want something, there's nothing I can't get. Come back with me. You want an apology? Fine. Want me to handle Makoto? I'll do it. Whatever you say. But you're leaving with me. And if you insist on staying with KR..." She narrowed her eyes. "I have no problem making everyone in this room pay for it." My pupils shrank. I hadn't expected her to go this far, but Anna, she just smiled lightly, completely unfazed. "Chairwoman Liu, maybe you've forgotten? This is Paris. KR's headquarters is here." Willow didn't even glance at her. Her eyes stayed fixed on me. "Miss Shu, you're young. You don't understand what scorched earth really means. I don't want to escalate this. I just want to take him." Anna was done wasting words. She reached for her phone to call someone, but I stopped her. "Forget it, Anna. I don't want to cause more trouble. I'll go with her. There are still some things at DG I need to deal with, some debts to settle. Just give me a few days. I'll definitely come back to KR." But Anna knew exactly what kind of person Willow was. As a woman, she could see Willow's obsession and unwillingness to let go. She wanted to stop me, but the sincerity in my eyes left her speechless. In the end, she could only nod. "All right, I trust you. But if anything happens, contact me right away. I nodded too, then without warning, I hugged her tightly. For tonight's question, I'll give you an answer next time. I promise. Then I let go of her, ignoring Willow's dark expression as I walked past her and left the room. The private room fell into deep silence. Finally, someone asked cautiously, Anna, should we still eat? Anna took a deep breath, her gaze turning sharp. You all eat. David, you're coming with me. We're heading back to the county. Willow took me back to China that very night. By the time we arrived at the base entrance, 7 hours had passed. And in those 7 hours, I hadn't spoken a single word. Willow stared silently at my back, letting out a bitter laugh. All the way, she had talked endlessly, from apologies to regrets to how the hotel found out the truth and exactly how she punished Makoto. She explained every detail. Now she genuinely didn't know what else she could say to get me to speak, even one word. She sighed to herself. Her voice, nearly worn out from nonstop talking, sounded exhausted. Hurry in. Get some rest for tonight. We'll talk tomorrow. I chuckled quietly, finally speaking for the first time. Rest? Do you still have a room for me? Or are you going to send me back to sleep in the storage closet again? Willow quickly shook her head. Your old dorm has already been cleaned and prepared. I didn't respond. I turned and headed upstairs. The next morning, as soon as I opened the door, I saw Willow waiting right outside. She held a box in her hands filled with stuff. She came in cheerfully, acting as if nothing had ever happened. George, these are your old peripherals. I got them all back for you. Your keyboard, your speakers, and this your wedding suit. All the gifts from the last 5 years of anniversaries. I'll make up for everyone. From now on, no one will touch your stuff again. She looked up at me hopefully, only to meet a pair of eyes devoid of warmth. I glanced at the box, then walked straight toward the storage room. No thanks. I don't want secondhand items. Might as well leave them for Makoto. I grabbed a few documents I'd left in the storage room and packed them into my suitcase. I think I've made myself clear enough, Willow. You were the one who... This isn't real, right? George, you're supposed to marry me. You're just trying to hurt me, right? That's what this is? The basement filled with Willow's hysterical denial and Makoto's gut-wrenching sobs. I gently covered Anna's ears and let her out. For those two inside, send Makoto to Julia in Southside. As for Willow, just send her back to her family. Anna nodded and followed me back to the training room. When Willow arrived at the Liu family home, her father was already waiting in the living room with a dark expression. Willow, I gave you a chance. You didn't want to work in the company, so I let you start a club. No matter how big a mess you made, I cleaned it up for you, but now... You embarrassed us on a global stage at Worlds, and you went and provoked the Zhu family heiress. You've dragged the whole Liu corporation down with you. I can't cover for you anymore. Your club will be handed over to someone else. In 3 days, you're leaving the country with the secretary. You'll spend the next 5 years at our overseas branch. End of story. Willow snapped her head up, instinctively resisting. No, I won't go! Mr. Liu's tone was firm and final. You won't? Then you can cover the investment losses yourself. Chairman Shu has already called me personally. I will not let the Liu family's legacy be ruined because of you. This is not up for discussion. If you won't go, get out of the Liu family. He tossed a plane ticket down and walked off without another word. The ticket landed right in front of her, the date clearly printed, 3 days from now. Willow clutched the ticket tightly, sitting in silence for who knows how long. As the light dimmed around her, her phone suddenly rang, its screen glaring in the darkness. Willow, where are you? The red carpet ceremony's about to start. Her eyes lit up for a brief moment. Her throat was dry from not speaking for so long. I'm on my way. She hung up and jumped to her feet, ignoring her numb legs and dizziness. This might be her last chance to win George back. Esports Red Carpet Festival. It's just walking the carpet and answering a few questions. Don't be nervous, I'll be watching from the audience. Anna straightened my collar one last time and watched me go up. After winning Worlds, I'd become the first Grand Slam champion in esports history, and one of the most talked about figures in the industry. After the dramatic scene at the awards ceremony, this was my first public appearance. The audience craned their necks to catch a glimpse of me, and I, every step I took down the red carpet, felt especially long. Camera flashes exploded from every direction. It wasn't until I reached the host that things calmed slightly. God, Gio, congratulations on completing your Grand Slam. Now let's get to what the public is dying to know. How serious is your arm injury? Will you continue competing? And if so, when will we see you play next? I picked up the mic. eyes locked on a specific spot in the crowd, and my voice was brimming with laughter. I'll definitely be back on the battlefield. As for when, you'll have to ask Miss Chu, she handles our household schedule. There was a brief moment of stunned silence, then the crowd erupted in cheers. Back when I was in DG, few people even knew I was with Willow. After what happened at the ceremony, the truth had already made the rounds online. Everyone had been waiting for a confirmation, and I gave it to them. Anna in the crowd froze for a second. I hadn't warned her I was going to mention her. But then she smiled helplessly and walked right up on stage under the full spotlight. She took the mic and said, eyes full of love, "As long as it doesn't hurt your health, I'll support you unconditionally. But for the next 3 months, you probably won't be playing." I smiled, pulled her into my arms, and picked up where she left off. "We'll be traveling for a while to rest and heal. After we get married, I'll return to the competition." The crowd erupted into another wave of cheers and teasing whistles. Every person present was genuinely clapping and offering heartfelt blessings. Everyone, except Willow, sitting silently in the far corner. She wore a wide brim hat, her face hidden, but her eyes lifted quietly to watch George on stage. Suddenly, memories of their 5 years together came flooding back. How many times had George wanted to make their relationship public, only to be stopped by her? She had always prioritized the company and her career, and now she had truly, utterly lost. In a daze, she suddenly felt a pair of eyes on her. Snapping back to reality, Willow looked up, just in time to lock eyes with me on stage. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. I was the first to look away. A moment later, Willow gave a bitter smile, lowered her gaze, and turned to leave. 30 steps to the exit. I picked up the microphone again. "I have something to say. These past 5 years, thank you all. 15 steps, but now, that chapter is over. It's time to begin the next 5. 3 steps. I wish us all a goodbye that lasts forever." 3 days later at the airport. "George, what are you looking at?" Come on! Boarding already!" I pulled my gaze back, wrapped Anna tightly in my arms, and smiled. "Nothing. Let's go, baby." In the busy departure hall behind us, Willow also looked away. After a moment of stillness, she lowered her head, tugged her hat brim down, and boarded a flight heading in the opposite direction. Outside the window, a gust of wind scattered the clouds. This time, for real, we will never meet again.